China's exports unexpectedly fell in October, with a drop in the value of goods sold to the US and EU, according Chinese customs data released Monday. China's exports fell by 0.3% in October from a year ago in US dollar terms, missing Reuters' expectations for a 4.3% increase. The drop marked a sharp decline from a 5.7% year-on-year rise in September and the first year-on-year decline since May 2020, according to data from Refinitiv Icon. Imports fell 0.7% in US dollar terms in October, also missing expectations for modest 0.1% growth and a 0.3% decline in September. China's exports to the US fell by 12.6% in October from a year ago, a third straight month of decline, according to CNBC calculations of US dollar customs data. The US is China's largest trading partner on a single-country basis, the data show. China's exports to the European Union fell 9% in October after rising in September. However, China's exports to the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, the country's largest trading partner by region, jumped by about 20% in October. China's global exports of home appliances plummeted more than 20%, toys fell nearly 18% and shoes nearly 11%. The country's auto exports rose 60% to 352,000 units in October, the data showed. China's crude oil imports rose 14% year-on-year, while coal imports increased 8%. However, imports of natural gas fell by almost 19%. In addition to the ongoing COVID controls, last month was the biannual Chinese Communist Party Congress, where President Xi Jinping consolidated his power. Last week, Barclays cut its forecast for China's economic growth next year on expectations that falling demand from the US and EU would prompt a drop of at least 2% in China's exports. Prospects of an economic downturn in the EU and the US have increased in the last few months. Many big American tech companies have recently announced layoffs and other cost-cutting measures. High inflation erodes the purchasing power of consumers overseas, Hao Zhou, chief economist at Guotai Junan International, said in a note. As monetary policy will go deeper into restrictive territory, the risk of economic recession overseas will rise, considerably weighing on global demand. Thus, China's exports may come under pressure. The slump in China's exports came despite a stronger US dollar. The US Federal Reserve's aggressive interest rate hikes have strengthened the greenback against other currencies. The yuan weakened by nearly 3% against the US dollar in October, according to Refinitiv Icon. In yuan terms, exports rose 7% and imports rose 6.8%, tariff data released on Monday showed. In another sign of falling global demand, South Korea's exports fell 5.7% YoY in October for the first time in 2 years, Larry Hu, chief China economist at Macquarie, pointed out in a note on Sunday. He said Korean export growth is a leading indicator for the Asian supply chain.